I am Dominic. I correspond with many of you over Google Plus. I am a man that was born and raised in America. I have suffered the negligence and abuse by this government firsthand since adolescence. I was abused when I was a child. I was beaten like I was a grown man at times. At 14, I stole a car and ran away from home after the school reported to Columbia County Children and Youth that I had cuts and bruises all over my face. They came, they investigated by taking pictures and interviewing me. They sent me home to be beaten again that night for them making the reports. I ran away. After that, I spent a lot of years in group homes, foster homes, institutions, Carson Military Institute. I've been in county prisons, state prisons. It's not easy inside, but if you know how to conduct yourself, you have it a lot easier. I just read a lot, and if people give me problems, I will fight them. This last time I was in a Supermax security prison. From 2007 to 2011, I served a prison term for a misdemeanor theft. I was given 5 years. I served 3 out of the 5. 2011, I was paroled. I changed my life this last bid. I studied, I found martial arts, I found Qigong. I made myself a better man. Now, when I was released to a halfway house, and this place was a hole. They feed you horribly. The people that work there they're not good people. They're bad. Their operations are to keep you in. I ended up getting myself out within 3 months, while most people sit there about a year. I found association in a church a mile up the road. I met an army sergeant, and I was his property manager. I took fallen trees off of Fort Indian Town Gap by his direction. I sold cords of wood. I took care of his properties outside of Harrisburg and inside the cities of Harrisburg. I also had another gentleman approach me and ask me to work for him. He was in the DOD. That didn't last long, though. Me and him didn't get along after a while. I got into the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 542. Now, this is one of the top unions in America. I was one out of 15 people that got chosen out of over 120. You test out, you interview. I got into this union as an apprentice, an operating engineer and an oiler, and I worked this job for about a year. At the end of the year, my father died. I had a schizophrenic breakdown, and nobody would help me. I reached out to medical facilities in this area for over a year and a half, almost 2 years. They just refused to help me. I went to street drugs to calm myself, and they saved my life. Drugs saved my life. Now, if I would have continued to use drugs, that would have been a different story. I found a Suboxone maintenance program that's helped me so far. I want to get off this as well. It's another drug that you're dependent on. It's just not as harsh, but still, it's another crutch. For that year and a half, I lived a living hell. I went from making about $1,500 a week to a living nightmare. I had to drink fifths of liquor to fall back to sleep as soon as I woke up. I used drugs. I went homeless because I felt that dangerous inside, and I didn't want to hurt anybody, so I left. Also, I reached out to medical facilities, Danville Hospital, Berwick Hospital. In Wilkes-Barre, I actually had a doctor give me a medicine that made me worse and discharged me back out into society the next day. This happened around the same time another man went through something similar that I went through. He told doctors he felt that he had demons coming out of him. He eventually killed his girlfriend. The medical system doesn't care. I screamed for help for a year and a half, multiple phone calls. Anytime that I could get my mind together enough to reach out for help, I did. And they refused me. And that's what they did to him, too. His name was Wes Wise. He killed his girlfriend. This happens a lot. People wonder why we see these violent outbreaks. This is why, because people are ignored. Now that I've overcome what I went through, I'm a stronger man today. I don't see me going back to drugs. I don't see me breaking down again because it made me stronger. That's not the case for everybody. These soldiers that are killing themselves after they get home from the war, they break down. They break down mentally. I've been there. I've tried to kill myself. I shouldn't be here. And that is what happens to them. They don't know how to reach out, or they're shut down when they do. They're all on this waiting list. We're all on a waiting list. And this is the issue with our government. Why are we all on the waiting list while they're all living off the fat of the land? They get everything handed to them, and we're always on the waiting list. And this is an issue, and it needs to be confronted. We need to conduct ourselves with pride and honor. We need to stand up with courage and confront the situation for what it is. They reign over us as kings and queens. There's supposed to be no kings and queens here. I know not one of them are able to defeat me in any type of debate, whether it be physical, mental, psychological. They're not smarter than I am. They can't outfight me, but still they reign over me because of their bloodline. It was handed down to them in one way or another, or there's some brown-nosing coward for the next man. What I ask for in this world is equality. If we're reaching out to be heard and we demand answers, it should be given. We're not treated as people. We're treated as subjects. If our generation does not stand up, your kids are going to have to, because things are getting worse. Now, multiple people, the majority of people, are waking up to the life that I was handed. What I've lived my entire life, you're now experiencing. I know how bad it gets, and it makes you strong, but I don't see that happening. I see things, they may get worse before you have the time to build the strength that I did. I'm 33 today, and I've been going through this since I've been about 11. It's good for us to join together, to communicate intelligently. We have to find some type of ideas, and I don't know, I think about building around them. Our due process is to construct a legal petition for a majority to agree upon it and to submit it to the 3 divisions of government. We're making demands. We're telling them we know you're corrupt, and we demand for it to change. This is our legal due process. This is what the Declaration of Independence was. This was our founding fathers declaring to England that we're done with your tyranny. And that's what the American people need to do. We need to stand up and inform our government that we are done with your tyranny. They come at us with police forces. You know, our police aren't military. They don't get to see the slaughter that happens overseas. So, as you see, they're quick to pull the trigger, even on people that are running away from them. How can somebody shoot another man in the back? There's no honor in that. And the same with these people with the violent outbreaks. There's no honor in what you're doing at all. It is such a cowardly act for you to take out what you're going through on innocent people. Stop it. Life is hard. There's other people who have experienced the same things or something similar to what you're experiencing. There are people to reach out to. People need to learn how to communicate together. We lost communication. People don't care about much but themselves. I care about people. I sincerely do. I also know when people are stepping over boundaries and taking advantage. You know, you give an inch, they take a mile. That needs to stop as well. People need to know their boundaries. They need to find their boundaries, and it's okay to speak out your boundaries as well. If people are being disrespectful, confront them on it. You know, if somebody speaks to me out of line, I state to them, is that how we're talking to each other now? And it wakes them up pretty quick, because I think they get the point that they're stepping over boundaries that may end our relationship or lead to some other type of conflict. The cowardice here is evident. The cowardice and greed and ignorance even. People want to remain ignorant. They don't want to know what's going on here, and that's not going to help anything. It's not going to help anybody. If you love people and you care about people, you will intentionally learn your conditions here, because you need to prepare for your kids. They're going to be slaves. That's what's going to happen. Your kids are going to be slaves if you don't do something logical and responsible now. We need to work together. The people need each other. I've tried the due process of law by myself. It gets nowhere. They laugh you off and they throw it out. They don't care if you're one person. But if we're many, they will listen. And we come with legal petition, they'll have no choice. Continental Congress in 2009 got laughed off, and now Anonymous 2016, the Humanity Party, has very good documents constructed to consider. We need a new Declaration of Independence. We need a majority of people to sign it, to agree upon it, and we submit it, and we demand to be obeyed. The people need to be obeyed. The government works for us. It's not supposed to be the other way around. Their whole lives are taken care of while we're worrying about what we're going to do next week to pay the bills. There's not a lot of work out there. I know. I do whatever I can to try to make ends meet. Me and my girl every day is trying to figure out what we can do. And there isn't many options. All the old trades are gone because of big corporations taking everything. There's a lot of issues to be discussed. I'm going to make other videos. I'd like to make one about marijuana. If you have any questions, ask. I know quite a bit. People come to me for advice. This is my first video, so it's a little off. I'm not comfortable yet making videos. I'm Dominic, and I'm willing to communicate with anybody as long as it's respectful. And, you know, we're always learning. We're all always learning. For you to think you know everything makes you a fool. I learn a million new things a week. Nobody knows everything. Okay.